Good morning, one and all. You may well remember yesterday I did a slightly, I say not an inflammatory video, but I knew it was going to get people talking, and it really did get people talking. So normally when I do a video, it might get, I don't know, a couple of hundred comments. Well, as I record this now, it's sat there on 350 comments, but it hasn't actually got that many views. So I know it's a subject that's got people's got tongues wagging, really, and it's that subject of Said Benrahma. You've had a lot to say. I want to run through a few of your comments now, and then I've got two special guests. I was going to say special, maybe just guests, just plain old guests who are going to be their opinion on Said Benrahma as well. Because I do want to take a step back here and know that I've given you my opinion, and let's hear what you think, because there's a few of you have made some really interesting comments on this. This is from Quiet Man, as you can see. I am sorry that I've not. Oh, by the way, I'm here. Can you see me? Hello. It says, I think that Moyes picks the best team he feels can beat the opposition. You know what? He knows a hell of a lot more than me. I don't question his team selection anymore. I'd love to see Benny Boy come on the hour into the game when defenders are a bit tired. He's a very good player, and I think next season he'll be better. I think this is a really good point. And a lot of this is not people saying they don't like Benrahma. This is some people saying we like Benrahma, but he's not quite ready yet. And a load of people saying, we love Benrahma, he's your best player. But I do agree with what Quiet Man said then. This next season is probably going to be his big season, his breakthrough season. This is from Melvin. Melvin says, for some of us, we're looking for the next Payet. Benrahma seems to have some flair with him. And now what he wants to do is start scoring. Still early days, maybe we'll develop into that sort of player. I think that's a really good point, Melvin. I think a lot of it is hope. People see a player as skillful as he is, and he is prodigiously gifted, and they say, well, we want this guy. We want this guy to be good as Payet. Give him a chance. Three more coming up. Jackie says, I really enjoy watching Said play. I think he's one of our best players, but when the team is doing well, how can anyone complain? This was the crux of my argument, really, which is, were we at the bottom of the league and we had this superstar player there and he wasn't getting any time, then we'd have cause for complaint. But clearly what Moyes is doing at the moment is working, surely. This is from Mo Allen, and thank you, Mo, because Mo is one of the people I've been speaking about, who are people that have obviously come along and visited this channel because they follow Said Benrahma. He says, hi, I've been following Benrahma for the last 2 years and a half. Since he moved to Premier League West Ham, I saw him improve his work rate. I agree with that. He started showing his quality and performed better and better each game. I do agree with your comments 100%. However, I want to add a very important point I hope will make this video. It's about confidence. I am sorry, Mo. I couldn't fit all of your comment in the screen because the screen is only so big. Mo goes on to talk about confidence and the fact that we're not giving Benrahma confidence, and that is in some way hindering his progress. And I think what he suggests is if Moyes showed some belief in him, then we would see a better Benrahma. And we've almost got to build him up. And I totally understand it. And listen, let's get one thing right. I thought Benrahma, because I've had a couple of cards, I thought I'd get a few comments. I've had a couple of comments suggesting I don't like Benrahma. Not the case. I said I thought him, Lingard, Antonio against Aston Villa were fantastic. If you watch our Patron and our player ratings, I gave Benrahma man of the match after Crystal Palace. Thought he was sensational. But good points there, Mo, about confidence. Just finally, this is Vernon. He says another point that he was indifferent to Lingard coming in, as he only really knew the social media version of Lingard. He thought Lingard was washed up. He said, if you asked me who the better player was now, if you asked who the better player was then, he would have said Benrahma all day. But comparing them now, Lingard is levels above. He goes on to say that Lingard's just more effective, score more goals, reads the game better. And I do think that there is a hindrance factor here. This is something that we've got to appreciate, that maybe Benrahma came in and then Lingard followed him. Anyway, and Lingard is hindering Benrahma's chances at the moment. But let's be fair, you can't drop Lingard, can you? Right, here's my two co-conspirators here. I've got Ben and I've got Tommy. Mate? All right, mate. All right, you right, Tommy?
Yeah, doing well, thanks. Yeah, we finally had some good weather over here. So it was a nice, bright, sunny day, no wind. It was maybe just a hint of the promise of spring in the air. So that was nice.
Oh, we got daffodils over here. We got daffodils over here, mate. You know, they're blooming all over the. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Right, fellas, you know this subject. Ben, let's start with you because you're in the middle of the screen. Your views on Benrahma, please, mate.
So obviously I've had a similar response on my channel. in terms of Benrahma, that I don't like Benrahma, and Benrahma's the best player at West Ham. And I think we've seen with Benrahma so far, he's shown promise. But he's nowhere near the complete article or in terms of ability better than what probably we're producing on the pitch right now. We have seen glimpses, for example, Crystal Palace away, Aston Villa away. He will be a very, very important player, I think, for West Ham in the future. But right now, like you alluded to your earlier video, there are other players in the pecking order. And we can only judge him, not based on what he's done for Brentford and what he's done in the Championship. We can only judge him what he's done for West Ham so far. What he's done for West Ham so far is that he has been a little bit inconsistent in some games in terms of his decision-making. But he's also shown elements of quality that we probably don't have in the team in terms of his ability. Like, as you said earlier in your video, he's very good at dribbling. You know, when it comes to all these certain skill sets, he's probably right up there. And he's also, this is a bedding in period. You know, we don't need to put so much pressure on Benrahma to be like, right, you've come in from the Championship, you need to perform straight away. You know, as you know, next season will probably be his big breakout season where he sort of comes to the fore, and he sort of got that. He doesn't have that pressure like maybe other players that have come from the Championship, like Eze, who's playing in the Crystal Palace team, who are struggling in terms of, you know, he sort of had to be thrown in the deep end. With Benrahma, we can take our time. Yes, he might not start every game. He might start 2 or 3 games in a row. And then Moyes will be like, you know what, I'm going to pull him out the firing line. I'm going to play a different formation. But I think going forward, Benrahma will be an important player for West Ham. And whilst we're doing very well, you can't drop Lingard. I thought Fornals was magnificent against Manchester City. You can't drop Fornals. And, you know, right now, you could arguably say he's probably fighting for a place against Bowen out of all 3 of them right now, because I think the other 2 are starting straight away. So I think he'll come good. But right now, we could just relax a little bit, you know, just relax with Benrahma.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with all that. Although I do think that there are Fornals. You mentioned Fornals. I do think Fornals is droppable. I thought he was very, very good, and it was sort of the crux of my argument was when Fornals is dropped, you don't get this tsunami of a reaction that you get when Benrahma is not in that starting lineup. Tommy, when I was looking at the comments on the video, there were a number of comments on there which were at pains to point out, saying, hold on a second, this guy he's had limited playing time, but he's actually got a lot of assists. What are your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, this is much ado about nothing. I think anybody who's getting their panties all in a bunch because Said Benrahma doesn't start every game, you know, need to give their heads a wobble, to be completely honest. It's complete overreaction. It's ridiculous. You know, look, he's come up from the Championship, never played at this level before. Whenever he has played, yes, he's done some good things, but he's also looked very raw. You know, like if you're stepping up from the Championship to the Premier League, as good a league as the Championship is, and as much as I enjoy watching Championship, it's a whole different level. I mean, it's a completely different ball game. The level of player you're playing against in the Premier League week in, week out, compared to what you were playing with in the Championship, there's a massive gap there. There just is. I mean, there's just world-class players in the Premier League. Even as you go further down the table, you know, you get the team, even though they're struggling at the moment, a team like Southampton, if you look at their starting 11, there's a lot of quality in there. So you're coming up against real quality opposition. You don't have as much time on the ball. You don't have as much space. Everything has to happen quicker, and it takes time to adjust. I mean, you just think about how many teams have we seen come up from the Championship, and they have, over the course of a season, 2, 3, maybe 4 players that you look at over the course of the season and think, yeah, maybe they could cut it in the Premier League. But the rest of them are Championship players, clearly are not cut out for this level. And that could be a team that won the Championship and came up, you know, got promoted in first place. So this is a massive step up. So I never particularly expected Benrahma to come in and suddenly be this amazing player who took to the Premier League immediately and looked fantastic and looked like, and it's fine. They don't have to do that.
Yeah.
There are not that many players who come up from the Championship and immediately make a massive impact, look brilliant. It happens, of course, James Maddison being an example, who looked Premier League ready. But most players don't even make it in the Premier League when they come up from the Championship. or they go back down with a team that struggles because they don't have enough quality in their starting 11. So, let's relax a little bit here. He's come up, he's done well, he's shown a lot of promise. His skill is not in question. His attitude, as far as I can see, looks to be absolutely fine. Said Benrahma doesn't seem to have a problem.
Yes, this exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Look, if you want an example of what I've just said, in January we brought in Jesse Lingard. This is a proper Premier League quality attacking midfielder. He's been around in the Premier League. He's played in Europe. He knows what it's all about. The quality is there. And he hit the ground running. And he has been sensational. Here's a player who causes unbelievable problems for opposition defences every time he plays. And that included City at the weekend, who have got quality all over the pitch. And Jesse Lingard looked as good as anything out on that pitch against City. That is the level that we need Benrahma to reach. We need Said Benrahma over the next 12 or 18 months to become another Jesse Lingard. And we have to allow him the time to do that. So that's number one. Second of all, and Ben touched on this, and he's absolutely spot on, we're not a team this season, thankfully, who are languishing down in and around the relegation zone, who don't have very much quality in depth. A team like I just spoke about, who have too many players who look at they're just championship quality. And so we're not in a position, as Ben completely correctly said, where we have to throw Benrahma in and keep him in there because the options behind him are just poor. We can afford to give Benrahma the time to develop. And it's absolutely correct to do that. Moyes did the same with Bowen. Bowen's been really good for us. And he clearly is a Premier League quality player. But Moyes didn't throw him in the deep end and just say, right, off you go, and we'll just leave you there no matter how long it takes you to develop. He brought him in fits and starts at the beginning, and Bowen worked his way into the starting 11. But even now, the likes of Bowen, Fornals, who are mainstays in the team, they don't get guaranteed a first-team spot. They get rested for games, or they get dropped for tactical reasons, where Moyes thinks, okay, this maybe isn't the game for you. So he will leave Fornals out and bring in Benrahma. Or at the weekend against City, he just leaves Benrahma, brings in Fornals because he thinks Fornals is the right player for that game. So people need to calm down with this stuff. Benrahma, I really believe, will get there. But it's good for Benrahma because I think since Lingard came in, Benrahma can look at Lingard in training and what he's doing in the games and say, okay, that's the benchmark. That's what I've got to work on. I've got to make myself as good as Jesse Lingard. And if his attitude is right, and it seems to me it is, and he gets his head down, trains hard, works hard for the team when he comes in, I think he will develop, and there's every chance he will become a Jesse Lingard. But at the moment, he isn't. And fans who love Benrahma have no problem with that, but they have to accept that it is what it is, and that he is not the finished article.
No, mate. I mean, listen, really well said. Before I bring Ben back in, I just want to tell everybody now, if you want a little bit more of Hammers Chat, you want to support Hammers Chat, you could do so by joining our Patreon account. By doing so, there are 3 separate tiers. Go and check it out. You get extra content, you get discounted merchandise, and you get an awful lot of behind-the-scenes silliness, as well as player ratings, a mug of tea, and a whole lot extra. Hammers Chat Patron, the link's in the description below. And I've got to say, the Two Spanners podcast is sensational. Would I be right on that, Tommy?
Yes, I've been on there.
That one wasn't. Not the one you were on, but all the others have been excellent.
The others have been excellent. I ruined it for everyone.
You did. You did.
I was a disgrace, frankly. But I want to say, Gonzo, just looking at what you just played, I seriously need to see that dodgeball goatee make a comeback, mate.
It was. Oh, it was the COVID tash, wasn't it? It just, it happened. The wife is not. The wife's not keen on it. To be fair, she's pleased it hasn't made a return.
If
My
you can
daughter,
dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
yeah, my daughter cried when I shaved it off. Put it out. What a bad dad I am. Ben, just on Benrahma, so I want to keep it short because if you don't mind, lads, I'd like to talk to you in a second, and which will be tomorrow's video, about Jesse Lingard and Man United moving the goalposts and the transfer fees. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But just before we finish on this one, I do want to say this because the whole point of this is prompted by the fact that we do get a disproportionate reaction with him. And you mentioned it, you get it on your own channel as well. By the way, before we do that, Ben, what have people got to type into YouTube to find your channel?
Oh, just Ben Glander, West Ham fan channel, and it'll be there.
Ben Glander, West Ham fan channel. I will put the link again down below in the comments section. If it was anybody else, I don't even think about it. But when Benrahma isn't named in the team, we get lists and lists and lists and lists and lists, and people really, really overreact. Just so as you can nail your colours to the mast, what do you think of him? What do you think of Benrahma as a player, mate? Just so as people can't turn around to you and say, "Hey, you don't like Benrahma."
Firstly, Tommy spoke about confidence, and I get comments regarding David Moyes is going to destroy Benrahma's confidence. Looking at that Manchester City game, whilst he only come off the bench with 10 minutes to go, would you have said that was someone who lacked confidence? As soon as he got on the pitch, he wanted the ball. And I feel like Benrahma as a person, which is very important when we sign these players, it's not what they can do on the ball, but if they're a good person. He looks like someone who appreciates that he's been given a chance to play in the Premier League. Now, obviously, because of his background and whatnot, and it's going to take time for him to establish him as a first team player. And he doesn't look like he's been affected by it. I think he come on against Manchester City, he wanted the ball, he wanted to be direct at Manchester City, and I felt like he was someone that Tommy mentioned about being a benchmark, that he has to sort of live up to the other players around him, like Lingard, who's putting up numbers like 3 goals in 4 games and an assist and whatnot. Benrahma will get there, and I think I'm happy we signed him, and I think it's a big leap of faith from David Moyes as well. Obviously, David Moyes is the manager, and whilst we were going to be paying 25 million or 30 million, whatever the transfer fee was in the summer, David Moyes thought, instead of signing Dawson for 2 to 3 million, I'm going to bring that transfer forward to January. Now, that says a lot. I think David Moyes has, he's trusting him more and more, and I think what we're seeing with Benrahma, that he has got the quality on the ball. Now it's all about consistency and what he does off the ball. And I think he is really working sort of buying into what David Moyes wants from a wide player. Because what David Moyes wants from a wide player is not, right, I want you to score goals and create goals. It's not just that. I want you to work hard. I want you to be defensively disciplined. I want you to help cover the fullback, when he goes forward and stuff like that. So there's a lot more to Benrahma's game, and I just want you to get on the ball and score and create goals. He's got to do a completely different side of the game. That at Brentford, they were a high pressing team. He's already probably got that work ethic, and now he's got to do that work ethic at a better level.
No, mate, listen, I totally agree. And everything that I've seen, every time I've seen him, he seems to work harder and harder. He's tracking back what Moyes has said about him in the press. People will often pick up on the bad stuff that Moyes says about him in the press. But Moyes has also said about him in the press, look, I thought I was getting a tricky player. I didn't realise I was getting someone that would work as hard as this as well. These are really good comments. You're right. His confidence doesn't look shot. And this is absolutely right. And Tommy alluded to it earlier, and I said it in yesterday's video. This is a external situation. This is external pressure, and I think it's unfair to put this on him, because actually I think Benrahma's probably totally happy being a member of this very unified squad, which is what we have here. There's a massive togetherness with this bunch of players, and I think this external pressure almost separates him from the rest. I think it's unhealthy. I don't think it's good, and he probably would reject that totally and say, no, I don't want this. I want to be one of the lads. Stop calling me. I don't know if you see it. I mean, sorry, video's running over. I'll end it very, very soon. I don't know if you've seen Tottenham recently. I noticed it against Wolfsburg when Bale scores. Now he's scored a couple since then. He runs off on his own to celebrate and does this. And I think, oh, mate, it ain't great. And listen, if anyone can do it, maybe Gareth Bale can. He's such a talented player. But I don't think it's particularly endearing, to the rest of the squad. You want to go and celebrate with your teammates because it's a team game. And none more so than our ridiculous celebration where they're playing the flute and all the rest of it. You know, it's a bit cringy, but it's brilliant because they're all together and it's a team thing. And I look at Bale and I think you do look separate from the rest of those players there, you know, whereas you look at Son and Harry Kane, look at them when they do something, they straight for each other, even pointing to each other when they're running over and stuff like that. And I don't want that to be Benrahma. I don't want Benrahma because he's not like that. And so I don't want us as fans to separate him. Anyway, listen, fellas, thank you very much for joining me. We're going to go and record another video now, which you lovely people can hopefully come and watch, which will be tomorrow morning for you. We're going to discuss Jesse Lingard and we're going to be discussing Man United's price tag. We'll discuss it then. Fellas, thanks very much indeed.
Can I just say very quickly, Gonzo, because people are going to accuse me now of being a Benrahma hater.
I hope they do, Tommy. It came across that way.
Listen, next Monday night at home to Leeds, I would start Benrahma over Fornells. I think this is a perfect game for him. So I would love to see Benrahma start that game because I think he could have a really great game against Leeds in a very open game like that. And we're at home. I really like Benrahma. I think he's got a really big future at the club. I think he'll keep improving. And I'm really excited for what's going to come from him. Really like him.
Absolutely. We all really like Benrahma. I'd like to see him play at Leeds as well. Ben's nodding. There's going to be acres of space there. I think it's absolutely the right match for him. I suspect Moyes just didn't play him in those tougher games because he wants the additional defensive solidity that Fornells brings. And particularly when Fornells plays left, which I know he didn't, it provides that cover for Cresswell. We all like Benrahma. It's just we don't all think he's Roy of the Rovers, Lionel Messi. If Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo had a little, and they had a baby, I think some people think it might be Said Benrahma. He's not that. He's not that. He's a decent player, and he'll probably get better for West Ham. Cheers, fellas.